Welcome to the penultimate meeting of the season for the 2017 Excool BRSCC OSS Championship. This weekend is a very special one as the championship supports the British GT Championship finale on the Grand Prix circuit at Donington Park. And one driver is making a reappearance into the championship in a very different car, and we saw him last time, is Matt Manderson. Matt, great to have you back in the championship, and just tell us about the absolute beast that sat behind us.
This is 7 years hard work. I've been spending all this time trying to get it finished. I've been promising it's going to be out for years now, but it's taken me this long to get it done. It's probably a little bit soon for it to be out racing, to be honest, because I've still got a few teething problems with it. But the fact that we managed to test and get over 20 minutes running the other day, I thought now's the time to bring it to a race meeting and actually show it in public for the first time. So yeah, it's got various bits and pieces on it off various cars. It's got a Group C car floor. It's got a not too old Le Mans car wings front and rear, and it's also got a few 2004 Formula 1 bits and pieces on it. So I managed to get some nice bits, and I made the bit in the middle, and what you see is what you get.
And of course, under the beating heart is an incredibly powerful engine. It's an engine that almost is making a four-figure sum of horsepower.
Yeah, the dyno didn't like it very much when we ran. It could only run to 5,000 RPM before it packed up, basically. We managed to bend the bolts that held the engine to the dyno itself. So yeah, that was a bit of a shock in a way. But yeah, it's got incredible power. I've just got to now work on harnessing that power and being able to put it down on the tarmac, which could be quite difficult.
Of course, you've already had it out in qualifying as well this morning. How was it run in that first proper session?
Not too bad. I've got a few temperature-related issues, a couple of brake issues as well. Nothing that should stop us being out for the race, hopefully. But I haven't been able to drive it quickly yet because I've obviously got to get over these issues. But when it is going right, I think it's going to be quite quick.
It's great to finally have it in the championship. It looks spectacular, and hopefully it goes as quick as it looks. And best of luck.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
Well, qualifying has already happened here for race one, so it's time for me to hand you over to Richard John Neal to give you the full rundown for this first race of the weekend.
Thanks very much, Scott. I can't wait to see that car on track. Pole position today, Duncan Williams, Class C pole, Josh Smith alongside. Then Mike Genvie, Class A pole position man, Patrick Sherrington, Graham Hill and John Paul Ivy on row 3. Row 4, Mark Abbott and Adam Dale, Richard Stables and Andrew Kimpton next. From Matt Manderson, Class F pole, Simon Tilling next, then Paul Spencer and Alistair Smart. Following them, Ian Charles and Richard Ferns, Bill Henderson and Mark Nicholson on row 9. Row 10, Andy Chittenden and John Gilman, Brent Hill and David Frankland on row 11. Row 12, Robert Gilman with Daniel Prendergast, and then it's John Holmes, Class D pole, Neil Harris, Class E pole, Paul Myers. So ready for the start of our first of 3 races. Pole position Duncan Williams, alongside is Josh Smith, and making a sweep round the outside in red, Patrick Sherrington in the MCR Sport. 4th position is Mike Genvie, the championship leader. Matt Manderson having a look at Adam Dale. Andrew Kimpton on the outside line. Here's Simon Tilling, qualified 12th overall, 5th in Class C. They'll be looking at relative class performances as well as getting stuck in and perhaps dicing with other cars. But it's Duncan Williams out front. Duncan knows Donington very well, had a good deal of wins here over the years. On board with Ian Charles along Starkey's for the first time. It looks like everybody sorted themselves out superbly. Josh Smith 3rd, then it's Mike Genvie followed by the leader of these 2 cars, John Paul Ivy, running in the guest class, the invitation class, and then Graham Hill in the 72. Graham running in Class C, and at the moment 2nd position in class behind class championship leader Josh Smith. Lee Torrey 2nd in the standings coming into this round as we ride on board once again with Simon Tilling. Matt Manderson immediately in front. You have to take your hat off to Matt Manderson. A lot of drivers would just do test days, but he's decided to come out and show this wonderful new car to the paying public here. It's a really good idea to test in race circumstances as well. You can pop into the pits if he needs to at any time, of course. Ian Charles getting stuck in. Immediately in front of him, the likes of Alistair Smart and Paul Spencer. But at the end of lap number 1, Mike Genvie makes a great move down the inside. Genvie passing the Class A car of Patrick Sherrington. So Genvie into 2nd place. Josh Smith having a look as well. So from 4th position, the championship leader, Mike Genvie, is on 199 points. His nearest challenger championship-wise is Paul Spencer on 156, who leads the Class A standings. Now we do have drop scores to take into account, and Mike at the end of the year, along with the other drivers, will drop his 2 worst scores. We can start to work out how that impacts now. It impacts a fair amount for Mike Genvy because he's scored so well consistently over the year. But essentially, we'll keep tabs on that for you in the final meeting of the year, which takes place on the international circuit at Silverstone the weekend of the 14th and 15th of October. So here is Ian Charles again, qualified 7th in class, and a super view comes out of Coppice. This is the exhibition straight, so a chance to open up. And instead of going right into Roberts, we're going to go left and onto the GP loop where the race leaders are. We've got a new leader, because going into lead position now is Mike Genvy, but Genvy being challenged again by Duncan Williams, who wants the lead back. Simon Tilling about the length of the Melbourne loop behind. You can see here from that shot the climb. Genvy's got the lead, held on to it. It was a brief challenge back from Duncan Williams to try and get back into lead position, but Mike Genvy 4th on the grid, 2nd in class of course, now the race leader once again, looking to extend that championship lead over Duncan Williams. Williams incidentally still 4th in the championship. He's behind Adam Dale. We've got 2 cars into pit lane, one of which I think is Paul Spencer. Now that may give the championship class lead to Patrick Sherrington. Patrick 6 points behind Paul Spencer. The other car was Matt Manderson. And we did talk about Matt maybe having a visit into the pits, and he's doing that. So some early race diagnostics for Matt as we ride on board once again with Ian Charles in the 124 car. Good to see Ian back with us. He was racing with us on the national circuit at Silverstone in May, and a best class result of 6th position in class there in race number 2. You can really see the climb as they go into Coppice, the double apex corner, and the key thing there, next time you see that shot, is to consider that you can't see what's going on the exit. It's a blind exit out of Coppice, so it can be a tricky corner. But having no problems with the corners so far, our race leaders still out front. It's Mike Genvy from Duncan Williams in black, then a little bit of a gap back to the defending champion, Josh Smith in car number 1. Patrick Sherrington still leading Class A in car 40, the MCR Sports. Then it's John Paul Ivy running in the invitation class, and following him, Graham Hill, qualified in 5th position, 2nd place in Class C, which he still holds. Adam Dale going through, the black and pink number 3 Radical PR6. Adam in his 2nd full season with us. Through shot as well goes Simon Tilling, who we had those great onboards with. Then Andrew Kimpton, followed by Richard Stables. Those 2 fairly close. Stables in Class C, Andrew Kimpton in Class B. So a really good inter-class battle, and whilst the drivers will fight amongst themselves for points within class, they'll fight for track time and track position and a little bit of pride on an inter-class basis as well. That battle going along Starkey's, heading up into Schwantz. We're on board with Simon Tilling through Schwantz, out of that. This is McLean's, and then you can see, here's that climb that you saw, and you can't see the exit of Coppice from that shot that we saw momentarily. Kimpton coming under a bit of pressure now from Richard Stables. Andrew Kimpton in front at the moment, back with Ian Charles still getting stuck in his Radical PR6, the Class C car, as the race leaders come down the Wheatcroft straight into Redgate once again. The significant thing for me is that Mike Genvy, having caught and indeed passed Duncan Williams, is not, by my money, getting away. Williams has got the fastest lap of the race at the moment. That was set on lap 5, 1 minute 26.621, averaging over 100 miles an hour, 103.37 to be precise, about the fastest lap here. And here's Simon Tilling once again. Simon running up towards the sharp end of things and having a good race at the moment, as are the 2 leaders battling it out. So it's Genvy Gunn heading Juno at the moment, and Genvy, the championship leader, clearly showing no lack of hunger to continue to lead the championship. Bill Henderson, car number 7, Class B. John Gilman in car number 86, and back once again to Ian Charles, who's actually just shy of a podium position at the moment in Class C. Bill Henderson, incidentally, running in the invitation class. We saw Bill a few moments ago. Here he is indeed once again. And Bill still up ahead at the moment of John Gilman. John will be sharing the 86 kart with Richard once again as the leaders get stuck into backmarker traffic. One of those, of course, is Matt Manderson, who lets them through. So good, respectful driving by Matt. Doesn't affect the lead at all. And it is still Mike Genvy out front. Backmarker fell a little bit kinder for Genvy there than it did for Duncan Williams, who's trying to chase him along the straight. So quick recap here. Mike Genvy leading, Duncan Williams in second place. Duncan still has the fastest lap of the race. We'll have more for you after the break. Welcome back to Donington Park. We are with the race leaders, Mike Genvy in the white Genvy Gun TS6 up ahead of Duncan Williams, and both of these drivers working hard to get through some of the other class traffic. And that's the norm really in Excool OSS racing. The backmarkers may have fallen slightly better for Mike Genvy, but Duncan Williams is not finished yet, still got that fastest lap back on lap 5. Josh Smith has the fastest lap in Class C, but sadly has retired from this one. It means the Class C lead now is with Graham Hill, with Simon Tilling, we've had a lot of onboards with. He's running second in class, but we've got a big battle on here for the lead because Duncan Williams has closed up. That's a great shot of the cars going into the S's. And Williams piling the pressure on Mike Genvy. Here's the man I said was second in Class C, Simon Tilling. Josh Smith's retirement. He missed Rockingham, so that won't be a drop score for him. It's very definitely points lost rather than a drop score for Josh Smith, but he does have a championship lead over Lee Torrey, Mark Abbott and Daniel Prendergast. But Daniel Prendergast is out of the race as well. So Simon Tilling on his way to a class podium, a second position. Graham Hill leading Class C at the moment, with Richard Stables in third position and running 7th as the race leaders go onto the final tour here. This is lap 14 of the race, and Duncan Williams, for my money, really putting the pressure here on Mike Genvy. Into Redgate they go. Genvy taking optimum line, not getting overly defensive here, Mike Genvy. And now they come through Hollywood, down into the Craner curves and into the old hairpin for the last time. Genvy's still there. What can Duncan Williams do? Wide sweep from Williams there. Might be looking to build a bit of momentum along. Starkey's through Schwantz where they go now. Williams still piling the pressure on. Out of McLean's and into Coppice corner. Superb scrap between these two. Still far from over. There in 23 is Simon Tilling, running in second position with Adam Dale right behind him. Adam himself running in Class B podium position, third place in Class B for him. So Simon not without traffic. The race leaders closing up on these boys, believe it or not. I don't think Simon Tilling is going to find himself a lap down on the leaders, but given a little bit more time, that may well have been the case. So we ride on board with the second place car as through shot goes Patrick Sherrington at the bottom, and round the outside has gone Duncan Williams. They're side by side up to the flag. It was a photo finish, 0.02 of a second separating them. It was Duncan Williams that took the win. A very, very good last effort from Duncan Williams, side by side with Mike Genvy, who finishes in second place. John Paul Ivy completes the overall podium, the invitation class runner. Class C victory to Graham Hill. What a race between Duncan Williams and Mike Genvy. Swap places like nobody's business. Graham Hill wins Class C. Simon Tilling was next from Adam Dale. Then Richard Stables and Richard Ferns winning Class A. Ian Charles ninth from Alistair Smart, Andrew Kimpton, and then Bill Henderson, Robert Gilman, Andy Chitterton, David Franklin, John Gilman, Mark Nicholson, Neil Harris, Patrick Sherrington and Paul Myers complete the finishers.
What a sensational first race that was for the Excool OSS in front of the British GT crowds, and these two next to me certainly put on one heck of a display, including first of all winner Duncan Williams. Duncan, that went right down to the last corner of the last lap.
Yeah, I didn't realise it was the last corner of the last lap, but it was the first time there was an opportunity because Mike had driven so well during the race. He didn't give much away, and that was it had to be taken.
Does always seem to be the case that where you are, Mike's never far away.
No, we're pretty evenly matched, and the cars have got some advantages, some strengths, some weaknesses, and over the course of a race, we end up at the finish together.
So, pole for race 2. How's it looking for that one?
Yeah, fingers crossed. We'll see what happens, but anything can and will at Donington.
Certainly does. Well done.
Thank you.
And then the man that you just beat to second place was Mike Genvy. Mike, that was a heck of a race and a heck of a move down into the hairpin. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a few bit of bad luck recently with races being red flagged while I've been gone across the line first, and it's gone back a lap, and I haven't been leading. So, kind of made the decision we just try and lead. So, yeah, dropped back a bit at the start and then got through pretty quick. Nice move on Duncan. I haven't been to this circuit for a long time, but that chicane is so fast, and it takes a while to get your head round it. And lucky I got my head round it before Duncan had a really nice run on him, and then outbraked him into the hairpin. So that was really good. But yeah, unfortunately he returned the favour on. Yeah, I didn't realise it was the last lap. So he returned the favour, and I thought I'd blocked the inside, but unfortunately there was just enough room for him to get by, and I knew he was going to overshoot, so I tucked back in, and then obviously we had a drag race to the line, but we had some minor gear shift problems, so every change was delayed and it just wouldn't go, and hey, one of those. So whatever it was, 0.22 of a second, it's not much, but we'll see how we fare in race 2.
Yeah, front row as well, so you start alongside each other once again.
No, third.
Oh, third,
because it goes from grid positions from the qualifying. But yeah, I think we'll hopefully dispatch Josh pretty quickly, and it'll be a fight with Duncan again.
Fingers crossed. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, I think you'll agree the first race certainly put on a show for the British GT crowds, and it was this man, Duncan Williams, who took the victory just on the line. But can he do it again in race 2? So let's try and find out. Here is the grid as told by Richard. Over to you.
Thanks, Scott. Duncan Williams then on pole position once again. Class C pole, Josh Smith alongside, then Mike Genvy and John Paul Ivy, Graham Hill and Class A pole man Patrick Sherrington on row 3. Mark Abbott and Adam Dale next, Richard Stables and Matt Manderson. Paul Spencer and Andrew Kimpton are next up on row 6. Row 7, Simon Tilling and Alistair Smart, followed by Ian Charles and Richard Ferns. Bill Henderson and Mark Nicholson on row 9. The 10th row, Andy Chittenden and David Frankland. Then Brent Hill and Robert Gilman, Daniel Prendergast and John Gilman next up. And then John Holmes, Neil Harris, Class D poleman, and Paul Myers once again pole for Class E. Nice onboard starting shot here with Graham Hill on the inside of row 3. The smoke out the back of the white car in front. That's Mike Genvy, who's just pipped at the flag in race number 1, but Duncan Williams leads them away. Josh Smith in second place. Mike Genvy is next up. Then a bit of a fight going on all round, including Richard Stables on the inside line. Again, superstar Matt Manderson back out on the grid, as you can see. So it's Williams, Smith and Genvy, first, second and third. John Paul Ivy is in fourth place at the moment, separating Josh Smith from the other Class C runners, including Richard Stables, who went past Matt Manderson there. Good to see Manderson getting some more testing under his belt. More of a shakedown than anything else, as we heard in that great interview at the start of the programme. So Duncan Williams out front. Josh Smith will try and close down on him. Graham Hill with Mark Abbott goes through on the inside line. Hill making some inroads points-wise into the top 4 in the Class C standings after race number 1. He's got his tally up to 108 points, and he's passing Mike Genvy. Has Genvy got a problem? Genvy passed by Abbott and indeed Hill, and Patrick Sherrington all over the back of him now. You saw a flash of black and red. Watch for Sherrington. Sherrington in red now, looking down the inside line, will go past. That, of course, is where Mike Genvy was at the start of race number 1. He was behind Sherrington, but dealt with him fairly quickly early on in race 1. Graham Hill with relatively free track ahead of him at the moment, which is not a bad view to have. John Paul Ivy immediately in front. So John Paul Ivy, invitation class runner, Graham won't be too concerned about catching him, but if he can get ahead of him and clear, he's got Mark Abbott behind him, which is more of a worry. There's Patrick Sherrington, the white car of Mike Genvy, then Adam Dale, 44 car of Andrew Kimpton, being passed by Richard Stables and also passed by Simon Tilling as well. On board with Richard Stables now. Class C runner, good podium for him in race number 1, 7th position overall and 3rd in class, looking to pick up more points. There is the Manderson Whiteland Mark 1, 6.3 litre monster. Richard Stables still very much in the mix up towards the sharp end of things in this race again, and Simon Tilling pops ahead, so Stables with some work to do. Simon Tilling putting a little bit of space between himself and Richard Stables at the minute. Here's the view again from Ian Charles, who we joined a fair amount in race 1. A wonderful shot going up into Coppice Corner. Patrick Sherrington not getting away. I was speculating whether there were problems for Mike Genby, but it was about a lap ago that we saw Genby passed by Patrick Sherrington, who's still there. Genby having a look to try and get through on the inside line. Adam Dale is next up. Dale, one of the front runners in the championship, very consistent, fast driver. Genby extending the championship lead. Duncan Williams moving up into 2nd in the championship. And I think Adam Dale now 3rd in Class B by my reckoning. I'll confirm that for you for race 3. As Graham Hill goes past John Paul Ivy now, and that in theory gives him a clear run at the class leader Josh Smith, but to be fair to Graham and Josh, it's a big gap between those two. So Graham Hill 2nd in class, and really looking to try and, I reckon, get up into the top 3 of the Class C standings in this race, or certainly this weekend. He has had a number of retirements this year, so he won't be worried about dropped scores. He needs every point that he can bag now. 4 retirements for him on bounce, sadly. Probably won't thank me for rubbing that in, but Graham having a super drive at the moment on a circuit that he clearly loves. 8 class wins here over the years. Josh Smith looking to grab his 6th class win here at Donington Park in the Excool OSS Championship. Duncan Williams, incidentally, in race number 1, that was his 20th overall win. He's the most successful driver out there racing in terms of overall wins, and a little bit of a landmark for him. Is he going to make it number 21 in this race? So the 3 similar cars dicing it out now for 3rd position, of course, in the race. So an outright podium maybe in the offing for Graham Hill here. Mark Abbott right behind him, and John Paul Ivy still in the mix as well as they come out of the final corner onto the Tom Wheatcroft straight once again, and peeling off into pit lane is championship leader. The championship leader Mike Genby is in pit lane, and I think out of the race. Welcome back to Donington Park. Great 4-way scrap going on just outside the top 10. Mark Nicholson ahead of Andy Chittenden. Got John Gilman in the 86 car piling pressure onto Chittenden, who of course is challenging Mark Nicholson. The 4th car in the train is Robert Gilman. So great battles going on wherever you are in the mix here for the Excool OSS Championship. But Mark Nicholson holding sway at the moment in, I think this is for 12th or 13th place. Duncan Williams still the race leader, and that's Daniel Prendergast pulling off. Daniel Prendergast on the grass and is out of the race, and no score for him. That's going to liven things up for the Class C Championship standings, as John Gilman, I was going to say, puts the pressure on and has a half gyration and loses out on that position, loses a lot of track time there, but hopefully we'll keep it going, get it fired up again. Now this is the battle for the podium in Class C. We're on board with Graham Hill, as we were at the start of the race, and immediately in front of him Simon Tilling. So Tilling looking to repeat the podium he had in race 1, which incidentally was a 2nd podium on the bounce, because he was 3rd in class in round 9 on the 300 circuit at Snetterton. These two very evenly matched. So Hill the chaser, Tilling you can see over to the midpoint of the circuit, keeping it relatively defensive. Adam Dale is ahead of them. Adam Dale running 4th overall, 2nd in Class B. Duncan Williams, of course, the overall race leader from Josh Smith, with Mark Abbott 2nd in Class C, running 3rd overall. So a podium in the offing for him, as Tilling repays the compliment once again. Graham Hill on the gas, down the Wheatcroft, straight in towards Redgate they go. There is Adam Dale going out, just about heading out of shot in the number 3. What a super race between these two. Now you can see that Tilling probably the more defensive of the two drivers. We've effectively got two slightly different styles going on here, and Graham Hill not really defensive when he was in front. That, I think, was what allowed the Simon Tilling car through on the inside line. We've got the black number 10 Duncan Williams working through the traffic, passes Alistair Smart, and is busy at the moment working his way through the traffic and about to pass Richard Ferns in the 42 car, which he does, the Radical SR8. Richard Ferns, incidentally, with the retirement of Patrick Sherrington, is picking up the honours at the moment in Class A. So Class A led by Richard Ferns, outright lead, and Class B lead to Duncan Williams. Class C led by Josh Smith. Class D we still have running Neil Harris, just to keep you in the picture as this three-way fight continues. And don't discount Richard Stables in the black 95 as well, because he is running superbly and is in with a shout of that Class C podium as well. But Graham Hill here could, with this finish, following the demise of Daniel Prendergast, maybe move up into 4th position in the Class C standings from 5th. And I think he won't be able to touch Mark Abbott, because Mark's running ahead of him in this one. Mark Abbott 3rd in the class standings, remember, at the minute. But Hill will be looking to try and get up into the top 3 come close of play this weekend here at Donington Park. On board again, that is Mike Genvey, who pulls over. Mike Genvey, great respectful driving from Genvey. He's running, he won't be a classified finisher. And here's the man that Genvey was dicing with, of course, in race number 1, Duncan Williams in the Juno, looking for a 21st career win in the Excool OSS Championship. I think he might well catch Mike Genvey before the end of this lap, so it might be a little bit of deja vu for him in the closing stages of the lap. But Duncan looking for a 7th overall win here at Donington Park. Josh Smith will pick up a 6th Donington class win for Class C, running in 2nd position again at the moment. Duncan still with fastest lap and in the 103 miles per hour bracket. And incidentally, Josh Smith's fastest lap in Class C, 102 miles per hour average. So doesn't matter what class you're in, turning good speed. But there we said about deja vu. Mike Genvey is going to be caught by Duncan Williams. Meanwhile, going on to their last lap, the scrap for 3rd place in Class C. Adam Dale still running 2nd in B, and 4th overall goes out of shot. And are we going to see Graham Hill nab this position back? Simon Tilling has a few lengths over him at the moment, but Duncan Williams wins round 11 of the championship. There is the checkered flag. Mike Genvey immediately behind, but it's Josh Smith 2nd, Mark Abbott next from Adam Dale, Simon Tilling, Graham Hill, Richard Stables 7th, then Alistair Smarts, Bill Henderson and Richard Ferns, Mark Nicholson 11th from Andy Chittenden, Robert Gilman 13th from David Frankland, John Gilman 15th from Andrew Kimpton, Ian Charles 17th and Neil Harris in 18th.
Well, making it 2 from 2 in Class is Richard Ferns in Class A, and Richard, again, that was just as easy as the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit frustrating again. Patrick got away from me with the MCR again, but he seemed to have the same problem as yesterday, and I could see he was starting smoking and losing oil quite early on, and then he eventually fell by the wayside, and I could have just sat back and tootled round, but I had a bit of a play with Alistair Smart and a couple of the other guys in the other classes, and managed to do myself another pirouette round in the Melbourne Loop again, but managed to recover out of that and finish the race. Car went well again, chipped off another 2nd a lap from the previous time, so again, keep doing that and we'll be fine.
It's no surprise that the man at the top of Class C is reigning champion Josh Smith, and Josh, it looks to be another pretty tricky, good performance, but battling with the faster cars as well.
Yeah, definitely. Race 2 this morning was excellent. We started on the front row, which was perfect. Grid of 28 cars. Bridgewater College students got all the repairs done from yesterday's incident, and we did exactly what we needed to do. Caught Duncan when he was stuck in traffic, but with 5 minutes left to go of the race, just kind of decided to knock it on the head really, because the car was being pushed to the limit, and we've got one more race to go, and we still need to keep picking up points for the championship.
Well, as you saw in race 2, dramas for championship contender Mike Genvy, as a defective spark plug is all that put him out of that race. He's going to have to try and do it all again from towards the back of the grid in race 3. Let's see how he gets on. It's Richard with the grid for the final race. So, Richard, over to you.
Thanks, Scott. Loads of work to do then for championship leader Mike Genvy. Duncan Williams starts on pole with Josh Smith alongside. Row 2, Mark Abbott and Adam Dale. Simon Tilling on row 3 with Graham Hill. Richard Stables and Alistair Smart on row 4. Bill Henderson with Richard Ferns behind them. Row 6, Mark Nicholson and Andy Chittenden. 7th row, Robert Gilman and David Frankland. Andrew Kimpton with Ian Charles on row 8. Row 9, Neil Harris and John Paul Ivey. 10th row, Daniel Prendergast with Mike Genvy. Then row 11, Matt Manderson and Patrick Sherrington. Brent Hill on row 12 with Paul Spencer. The grid completed by John Holmes, Paul Myers and Richard Gilman. The tension builds for our third race of the weekend. Duncan Williams makes a great start. Josh Smith on the outside line. Graham Hill busy looking for third place at the moment with Mark Abbott, but we need to watch what's happening with championship leader Mike Genvy's on the outside line of John Paul Ivey, who's trying to make up ground from the back of the grid. Don't forget Patrick Sherrington in the mix as well, but the race leader Duncan Williams, are we going to see a hat-trick here from Duncan this weekend? Certainly on the form we've seen so far, with the likes of Mike Genvy at the back of the field, you'd be brave to bet against that. So the Juno out front, Josh Smith in second place. Don't bet against Josh. It was interesting to hear what he was saying about taking the battle to Duncan in the first race. We have seen that car take outright wins before. Third is Graham Hill. Fourth place is Mark Abbott. Mark retaining second place in the Class C Championship standings. Lee Torrey now down to third. Graham Hill up to fourth in the standings. And Mike Genvy is making progress and about to pop a move here on Richard Ferns, which he does very neatly indeed. He's behind Adam Dale, so he's already challenging for second place in class. Here comes Genvy, white and red down inside of Dale. Super move, second in class. So Genvy here, damage limitation from the back of the grid. I still reckon if he finishes second in class, he'll drop 19 points. We did talk about not dropping points till the last round, but it's interesting just to get the perspective on what drivers need. I think Genvy's going to be in the 220 bracket at the end of this meeting, assuming he finishes, and with Duncan Williams around about 200 points, so about 20 points between the two as we head to the last event on the Silverstone International Circuit. Genvy now, it's academic. He needs to get past these Class C machines. Passes the first of those. He's got Mark Abbott to deal with next in the 55 Radical PR6. Abbott hasn't done all of the hasn't finished every race this year, so doesn't have to worry about drop scores as well, as Genvy starts to put pressure on Graham Hill. Hill will be chipping away at Mark Abbott's lead. Abbott on 142, Hill on 124, so assuming that Abbott finishes the race, he'll maintain a decent advantage to go into the last round of the year. The question really is how far up the order can Mike Genvy go? First and second are through. Josh Smith still running in second place and leading Class C. Duncan Williams looking comfortable out front, and Mike Genvy is closing in on them. Great view of David Franklin there in the 91. We've got Brent Hill in the blue Spire GT3 immediately behind. David Franklin running in the invitation class. Brent Hill is another Class C runner. 2 retirements for him so far, so hopefully he'll get some mileage under his belt in this race. And certainly Mike Genvy is doing that. Spark plug issues, as you heard from Scott, in race number 2, hence they got him sorted out back on track. Genvy an absolute racer, and third position, second in class, and a decent points haul for this man, the former champion, of course looking to reclaim the title this year, and in a really good position at the moment as we watch Josh Smith, the defending champion. Josh with a very good lead in the Class C standings on 169 points coming into this race. Probably in with a shout the overall again. You can't discount anybody really at this stage, but realistically it looks like the battle is going to be between the likes of Mike Genvy, who we see chasing hard here, Duncan Williams, who could go second overall in the championship here. Welcome back to Donington Park. The 30 car of Mark Nicholson coming under pressure from Andy Chittenden again. Deja vu, where he picked up on part 3. Then we've got Daniel Prendergast looking for another finish as well in the mix after disappointment for him in the second race of the weekend. But the race leader is Duncan Williams, on for a hat-trick here from Josh Smith, who'd like to have said that he was on for a third hat-trick of the year of Class C wins. But remember that non-finish in race number 1 hitting him hard, but 2 out of 3 not too bad for him, and he'll continue to lead the championship standings. And in behind him is the outright championship leader, Class B man Mike Genvy, with a scintillating opening lap which got him in the very early stages up to second position in class. So Genvy here won't get any extra points for passing Josh Smith if he does pass, but it will give him a free run to have a look at Duncan Williams, and he's going to look down the inside line for sure. Josh Smith will race him, but I think Smith knows that Genvy's probably got the better of him, and the Genvy gun, as its nose in front, makes the move clear up into second position. And now the next car that he can see, pretty much the only car he hasn't passed so far in this race, is Duncan Williams, who looks controlled in the Juno out front. Genvy second, Josh Smith third. Massive gap back. See if you can see the fourth place car. I can tell you it's Graham Hill in the 72 car, and he's away back. If you look back from the leaders, you won't see them. This is a great battle going. Patrick Sherrington trying to get past Richard Stables, which will enable him to challenge the class leader, Richard Ferns, the Class A leader, who's ahead of Richard Stables at the moment. But we're back with the overall leader, Duncan Williams out front. I'm wondering whether Mike Genvy is got enough pace to try and close down on Duncan Williams. Duncan still with the fastest lap of the race, and the fastest cars all again lapping in excess of 100 mile an hour average here at Donington Park. Duncan, as we said, was 103 miles per hour average. This man Josh Smith 100.04, his best lap so far, which was on lap 3. Obviously Mike Genvy lapping consistently with that as well. The other classes, Patrick Sherrington Class A average, his best average so far 94 miles per hour. Paul Myers in Class E, his lap 155, a 77 miles per hour average. So all of the classes that are running producing some superb laps, as we again see Patrick Sherrington, the Class A Championship leader, trying his hardest to get past Richard Stables and have a go. Safety car on circuit. Now, while I was looking at paperwork, I saw a glimpse of green, which I think was Mark Abbott retiring in a prone position. So Mark Abbott, there is Mark's car. Now that has big ramifications for Class C, which we'll come back to a little bit later on. But safety car out, and is it Christmas early for Mike Genvy? Because that gap now that Duncan Williams undoubtedly had has been well and truly and utterly decimated and cancelled out. So it's still Duncan Williams out front. I remember Duncan outraced Mike Genvy in race number 1, so in his head he'll know he can do it. Look at the gap back from the third place car, Josh Smith. We look right the way up the hill to Hollywood, we can't see the fourth place car. I made that point earlier on actually, that Graham Hill is a fair way behind, but these cars are going to close up because the rescue of Mark Abbott could take a lap, maybe 2 laps here of this 2.4 mile circuit. So there's confirmation of the safety car sign and the rescue vehicle out to get Mark Abbott's car to safety. Now Mark was, as I said, running in second position in the Class C standings, and just doing the sums, I think possibly Graham Hill could overtake him if he finishes where he is. Graham Hill, second in class, could, it's nip and tuck, but he could take second place in the Class C standings. Josh Smith is still safe, of course, at the head of that, but we need to do the maths and confirm that for you. Still Patrick Sherrington, the points leader in Class A from Paul Spencer and Richard Ferns, who leads the class in the race at the moment. And again, this might be an opportunity for Sherrington to wrest the class lead away. Class B led by, championship-wise, by Mike Genvy from Duncan Williams second. Adam Dale is third. And they're probably the key multi-car classes sorted out. In this race we still have Paul Myers representing Class E. Neil Harris in Class D, I think a non-starter in this one, sadly, in the 115 Radical Club Sport, but he had 2 class finishes in races 1 and 2. This is round 12 of the championship. We're looking there at the 54 car, Paul Myers, who we mentioned, the Yamaha Global GT Light. It is a long job, isn't it, to get that car away, being hoisted away. Mark Abbott's car. Mark, yeah, I reckon if Graham Hill finishes second, he'll be a point clear of Mark Abbott in second in the standings, heading towards Silverstone. We've got, I reckon, 1 more lap behind the safety car, and then just a couple of laps of the race to go. So, who is going to take it? Let's look at the cars as they come through and down into Redgate. The race leader is Duncan Williams. Mike Genvy there in second place. Josh Smith immediately behind in third position. Fourth place, Graham Hill. Graham Hill might fancy his chances of getting stuck in as well. John Paul Ivy in the Orange 39 car running in fifth. He's the invitation class. And then Simon Tilling and Adam Dale in behind them. Adam Dale in Class B, and of course on for another potential Class B podium. Great view, great shot of the cars coming down through crane curves into the old hairpin. So by my mind, that is going to be cleared to race this time. Lights indeed out on the safety car here at Donington Park, and we are racing again with Duncan Williams heading them away and down into Redgate. Josh Smith made a good start for the Class C's ahead of Graham Hill. Hill's got his mirrors full of John Paul Ivy, but it's Duncan Williams still after that hat-trick, but it did negate the lead that he had over Mike Genvy, and Genvy looking pretty hungry for things here. Comes down through the crane of curves in towards the old hairpin. Let's have a look at the lines. Williams certainly not defensive at the moment. Genvy looking pretty sharp at the moment, closing up as they go along. Starkis and sees a gap on the inside line, and Mike Genvy's through into the lead. Mike Genvy, incredible stuff. What a story this has been. Genvy started off the back of the grid, or very nearly at the back of the grid, and has worked his way through the traffic, aided and abetted for sure by the safety car, but who's to say wouldn't have closed that gap down. Genvy is through into the lead, Duncan Williams second, but remember, Duncan's taken 2 wins, and that first race he passed Genvy on the last corner. We could see last lap drama once again here in the Excool OSS Championship. Genvy out front though. Josh Smith is running in third place. Great battle on for fourth. Graham Hill and John Paul Ivy, and there's a good battle going on behind them with Adam Dale and Simon Tilling. It's Simon Tilling up front at the moment as Mike Genvy goes across the line. You can see the pit boards going out for these guys, and Genvy's actually starting to build a bit of a lead here over Duncan Williams. But Williams, I reckon, again some quick mathematics, could go second overall in the championship, possibly demoting Patrick Sherrington to third. Again, we'll have to confirm all of these points positions, but if Genvy stays where he is, he'll have 221 points, playing 199, so 22 points difference going into our last meeting at Silverstone if they finish like this. And that's doable, isn't it, for Duncan Williams? And that's with the drop score. Mike Genvy, I reckon, will drop 19 points. So again, we'll fill you in on that as we get to the last meeting of the year. But you can see there sparks flying out of the back of Duncan Williams' car as he rides the curves, trying to chase down the man who leads this one in the closing stages. Mike Genvy, is it going to be 2-1 to Duncan Williams or 3-0? Genvy seems to have that upper hand. Meanwhile, some great racing going on further down the order. As ever, the checkered flag is being readied though, and Mike Genvy takes the win. Genvy wins the third race of the weekend, round 12 of the championship to Mike Genvy. Duncan Williams is in second. Look at the delight for Genvy. What a hard-earned victory that was. Superb motor racing organised by the BRSCC once again. Duncan Williams second. Josh Smith wins Class C from Graham Hill. John Paul Ivy next from Adam Dale, Simon Tilling. Class A winner Richard Ferns beating Patrick Sherrington. Richard Stables, Alistair Smart and Mark Nicholson next from Andy Chittenden, Daniel Prendergast, Andrew Kimpton, Brent Hill, Robert Gilman, Ian Charles, David Frankland, Richard Gilman, Paul Myers winning Class E.
Well, Mike, I'm rarely speechless, but that had to be a champion's drive. Absolutely stunning performance in race 3.
Yeah, it was obviously 20th we started, and I mean we weren't even round the hairpin when the lights. I came round the hairpin and the lights had already gone off at the start. So yeah, it was a bit tricky. We had a good first few laps, and the car's just going beautifully. After troubles the whole weekend, suddenly it's one of those moments. Everything just hooked together, and I was feeling great. So yeah, really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed it. Hard work.
Well, as you can see, the light is fading and the teams and drivers are packing up to head home. But what a superb occasion it was for the OSS to have their penultimate meeting of the season here amongst the British GT Championship festivities. And once again, like it was last year at the end of Donington Park, it comes down to a certain few men for the title. In the likes of Smith, Genvy and Williams are all still in the mix for class and overall honours. Silverstone on the international circuit in October is where we see the final 3 races of the season. And the question remains, who's going to be OSS champion for 2017? Find out next time.